2015, a simpler time. Barcelona had just completed an historic treble with the likes of MSN, Messi, Neymar and Suarez, which to this day is still argued to be the greatest footballing trio of all time. Messi picking up his 5th Ballon d'Or. Chelsea had just won their 4th Premier League, bringing back the special one for a return for him to win his 3rd Premier League. Oh, Chelsea fans, how so much has changed in just a matter of 8 years. Don't worry, they're not watching this. They're probably all drunk themselves to death now. What we all loved so much about 2015 was FIFA 15. One of the best games of all time. One of the best football games of all time. It's often debated. Some of the biggest debates in world football. Messi versus Ronaldo. Pepsi versus Coca-Cola. David Cameron versus a pig. Amy Schumacher versus Funny. But what is up there in some of the biggest debates of all time is FIFA 14 and FIFA 15 for the greatest FIFA game of all time. And unlike some of those other debates, it's 1, less argumentative, 2, more funny, 3, less sexual, but most importantly, it's so lovely and passive. And nobody, no matter what side of the debate you're on, you can just acknowledge that both of them were just great games and just helped us get through such a simple but easy childhood. You would have an awful day at school, a bad maths class, a bad English class. Don't worry, you're gonna go home to play FIFA. What was your FIFA 15 team? Let me know down in the comments. I was actually quite a big fan of PSG for some reason in the early FIFAs. Ibrahimovic was a joke on free kicks. You can tell from what I'm talking about, we are looking back at FIFA 15. This is a series that I will be doing. We looked at FIFA 14 Wonder Kids in my last video, and that did such a huge success. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret, guys. That video was actually recorded all the way back when EAFC was just released. I just re-uploaded it.
It's legal. Absolutely fucking not.
Unlike FIFA, I do know how a traffic light system works, so we will be doing this in a traffic light system. Red, amber and green, no blue cards, because again, I'm not as dumb as FIFA. Raheem Sterling, a man that is hated by the sun more than a trillion lions. But despite all that hate from the media, he is a great player. At the age of 19 in 2015, he had a potential of 86 with a rating of 80. I think it's fair to say Raheem Sterling exceeded most people's expectations for countless of seasons, getting 10 plus goals, 10 plus assists, and the amazing trio he had at Liverpool with Sturridge, Sterling and Suarez. Now that brings me back. But eventually Sturridge, well, he did something, I guess. Sterling went over to Man City, and well, some people didn't like that, but again, he put up amazing numbers, countless of times getting 10 plus assists, countless of times getting 10 plus goals, and he edged himself into Man City legend history, in their top goal scoring history. He's up there now, and one of their greatest players they've ever had. And as for England, he is probably the most clutch and important player we've had in England's national team, above a Harry Kane. Maybe Harry Kane is a bigger name, but who has done us really well, especially in that Euros 2021. Despite all the hate he gets, he does perform every time. A lot of people do believe he is a tapping merchant, but I always think to that, why doesn't everybody do that then? Why isn't everybody scoring? Why isn't Nicholas Jackson just scoring 45 goals a season if it is as simple as tapping? It's about the movement, it's about the pace, it's about the ball knowledge of knowing where the ball is going to be there and getting there the exact amount of time. So of course this is a green. Raheem Sterling is one of the best players and one of the best wingers ever in the Premier League. The thing I like to talk about with their ratings, this isn't as relevant and as important. If they don't get a higher than the potential rating that they got, they can still 100% be a success, because FIFA doesn't know how to rate their system anyway. But the highest card he did get is 88, so he did exceed his expectation potential of 86 anyway. Mario Icardi. Now if you're watching this with your wife, 1, don't, because Mario Icardi is coming, but 2, congratulations actually. Really, a FIFA gamer actually got a wife? Okay, anyway, let me not insult my audience. All of Mario Icardi's issues, and we're just gonna leave him there. All of there, we're just gonna leave him there. But as for his footballing, in 2015 he had a potential of 86, and to be honest, this one I'm gonna give it amber. It's quite interesting to look at, because I think overall his Argentina career pretty much done and buried because of what he did off the off-field actions, to be fair, so we do somewhat have to mention it. But as far as when he was in Inter Milan, he was actually really good. He was scoring a bunch amount of goals, a ginormous amount of goals. Then he went to PSG, and for me it never truly worked, especially then when PSG got the Neymar, the Kylian Mbappe, even the Di Maria. He was never going to get into that front three as much as he would have wanted to. So for me this is an amber, but I kind of just want to remember that Serie A career where he actually did have good potential. So this one's not an out and out flop, but it definitely isn't a 100% success. If we're talking about stealing people's girls and having the weirdest relationship in probably the last 10 years as a footballer, I can't lie, Carly, you might be number 1. You know who else will be number one? You, if you like this video and subscribe. A lot of you people watch this video but don't like or subscribe, and it means a lot. Come on, it's how I know that you want more of this. So like this video so I know you want more, and if you're not already, subscribe. It's just, come on, it's for free. It only takes 2 seconds. Now let's get back in the video. About to talk about 2 Everton wonder kids. I'll let you guess the second one. You got about a minute or 2 to guess that. But let's first talk about Romelu Lukaku. In 2015, this man had the world at his feet. Let's not forget how amazing he was at West Brom, then went over to Everton, and he was just a gigantic monster. Not because of his size, people. Don't try and come for me at that. Man United fans will do that more than fine without me, right? But honestly, with Everton, he was absolutely a beast. Let's talk about some of his stats. In the 14-15 season, 10 goals, 5 assists. 15-16 season, 18 goals, 6 assists. The 16-17 season, 25 goals, 6 assists in 37 appearances. He was absolutely kicking. He was the first player to get 20 plus goals since Gary Lineker for Everton. He was doing absolutely amazing at Everton. Nobody can take that away from Romelu Lukaku. Then moved to Manchester United for what was a record transfer, but did eventually get broken by Paul Levesque only a couple of weeks later. And we all know how the Manchester United career went. It just didn't work for him. Many people believed he was a bit of oversized. His touch got even worse. He wasn't outputting as many goals, and that is kind of true. Although I do believe his goal scoring ability still wasn't as bad as people tried to make it out to be. He did have some memorable moments. People forget that he was one of the most important parts of that famous night in PSG that Manchester United fans love talking about. So it wasn't amazing there. Then of course we go over to Inter, and we all know how it goes. Look, Romelu Lukaku has a long career. I'm not going to go through all of it, but what am I going to give it overall? I'm going to give it a green. Now some people may question that, some people may raise an eyebrow to that, but for me he has to be. When we talk about international goals, he is only behind Messi and Ronaldo at Lewandowski for the most international goals of this generation. I mean, that is an absolutely incredible achievement. Went over to Serie A, stopped Juventus's monopoly, 10 years of it was it, of winning the Serie A again and again. He stopped that, being one of the main men, scoring an incredible amount of goals, getting a golden boot. Again went back to Chelsea, didn't work out there, and blah blah blah. We all know how these stories kind of work, but when it worked for Romelu Lukaku, it really worked. So for me, it's going to be a green. I can understand if you put it in amber, but I can't understand anything lower than that, to be honest. Let's finally talk about that Everton player. Have you guessed it? It's Ross Barkley. This one's going to be very interesting to talk about, because if I made this video maybe a year earlier, who knows, this would have swayed it a little bit, but we'll see. Let's talk about Ross Barkley, because at the time of him being the age of 20, he had the world of his feet. People are looking at him almost as the next Wayne Rooney, in the sense of being from Everton, going on to have stardom power. He was a great cam. Chelsea, it just didn't work out, man. For so many years, I keep forgetting where Ross Barkley is, not knowing that Chelsea had him locked away in their cellar for so many years. But they did let him out every so in a while for walkies, as they let him go to Aston Villa for a bit. Then he went to Nice for a bit, and now he's obviously at Luton Town, where he actually is finally starting to cook again. It finally started to look like that Ross Barkley that we all thought 10 years ago. If you told it would be 10 years later, Ross Barkley would be cooking it up in the midfield of a Premier League team, you'd be like, yeah, hell yeah, that's no shock. 10 years later, he's still going. If you tell him it's Luton Town, they'll probably be a bit shocked and think maybe Luton Town's the next Man City. Not really. So this one's gonna have to be an amber, and that's a nice amber. Maybe if you asked me this a year ago, I would have said red, but I don't know, maybe I'm getting a bit too happy and getting a bit too gassed about his Luton career right now that I'm not ready to call it a red. But that being said, Manchester United do want him, so let's see how that one goes with me. This one is the one that could definitely change to an amber and red depending the next couple of months. I feel like the other ones has sealed, signed, delivered, and it's already done. You know, 10 years is quite a long time, to be honest. I feel like you should know what traffic like they are right now. But Ross Barkley, he could definitely not be a green. There's no doubt about it. So you let me know down in the comments. Is it a red or an amber? I'm going to go with amber for now. We're getting into the big boys. A lot of these people were big names. Not all of them, does not mean they 100% succeeded, but they were definitely big names 10 years ago. And let's first talk about Raphael Varane. I feel like this is quite a late time for him to have a FIFA potential, because he debuted in the 11-12 season. I remember that historic Real Madrid season, already showing, inserting himself into that Jose Mourinho stacked 11, overtaking Pepe at some point. So I'm surprised it took him this long to get a FIFA potential card, but he was an amazing centre back. Of course, we know what Raphael Varane went went on to do, win the World Cup, 4 Champions League, making one of the feared, most great partnerships with Sergio Ramos. At the time, he had a potential of 88. I've been talking about the highest rated FIFA cards they've gotten in the last 10 years, but don't worry, Editor Me will do that for you, so it's all fine for you. But as for Raphael varane, he had a potential of 88, actually never had a card higher rated than 86, and this goes back to why I said you don't really take these FIFA cards into account that much, because by that logic then FIFA are just saying he was so close to being what he was full potential is, but overall he didn't reach it, which we all know is absolutely completely dumb, as he has been one of the best centre backs for the last 12 years now. Let's move to Memphis Depay, a very interesting one to talk about, because obviously at PSV at the time he was of the age of 20, he had a potential of 88 and he was doing really good stuff. Then we would know he moved to Manchester United and it didn't work out there, but that being said, I could make a whole list of wonder kids with absolutely amazing potential that moved to Manchester United and they got killed and buried in the water. Everybody knows that is true. Left Manchester United, went to do some stuff at Lyon and he was absolutely amazing at Lyon. Let's not forget how great he was in those lockdown seasons, scoring an amazing amount of goals, and we all thought maybe this was his time to revitalize himself. Went to Barcelona, it wasn't necessarily the worst thing in the world, but again he didn't light the world on fire. I think that's a very familiar thing with Memphis Depay. When the lights shine the brightest, he doesn't seem to come out of that light and starring as much as he wants to. When the lights are shining a bit more dimmer, he's looking absolutely amazing. Again, that may be just my opinion, but unfortunately I'm going to give him a yellow because I really liked him and I thought he had even more potential than he actually let on to do. By all means, you can call me a stupid idiot. I didn't finish my sentence. Why have you already typed that out? Thanks, mum. Always supportive as usual. But you can call me an idiot for not knowing this, but I did not know Laporte was a FIFA wonder kid. In 2015, age 20, potential rating of 88. In fact, points him in the joint second most highest potential back then. I did not know he was seen upon as one of those players, but he is a green. He actually did go on to obviously succeed. Obviously, we know what he did with Manchester City. I know some people may look at this as an amber in the sense of he never really did always drop down that first team spot as much as he wanted to. I mean, he literally had to switch nationalities to get some starting place. But for me, when he did play, I really did like him. I was a big fan of his all the time. Again, if we talk about that potential stuff and 88 and all that, but again, we're not taking into account FIFA stuff. We're doing my own rules here. I really liked Laporte and I think he was very useful for Pep Guardiola's team and very useful for France. Well, maybe not as much France, but very useful for Spain, that's for sure. I think if he ever got more game time, it's a bit sad that he's already gone to El Nasser, where obviously now that is going to be dwindling down on his career, but he's getting a fat paycheck from it, so you know, I'm not his bank account, so I don't really care about that in that sense. But I still would give it a green. Maybe some people would say an amber. I can definitely hear that, but I don't know. Personally, I've always been a big fan of his. If you guys really enjoyed these videos, and make sure you like and subscribe, because I'm enjoying them just as much as you, because I actually start to find out about people that actually was seen as wonder kids and very high potential. Because the next one is Julian Tillemans. In fact, the age of 17 at the time, so it probably makes sense why I didn't know him. You know, I wasn't Philip Schofield back then, although that wouldn't be that weird to be honest. I was definitely way younger than that at that age. Anyway, that's besides the point. He had the potential rating of 88, the second highest of anybody in this list so far. This is going to be an amber for me. I'm not a fan of Tielemans as much as everybody else was. I think a couple of years ago he was really good at Leicester, but I think when Leicester's train and momentum kind of fell off when they stopped being a top 4 club, then they had that one season as a mid-table club, then they had that one season obviously where they got relegated, unfortunately for them. I felt like he never put his socks up and really started to help the team and started to take this team by the scruff of the neck. You had an aging Jamie Vardy and you had a James Maddison who was still putting up an insane amount of numbers, to be fair, and that's why he got the move and got, you know, and everybody's looking upon him and still great. I feel like Tielemans, for me, when you're in a bad situation, you're in a bad struck, I feel like he just isn't a player you want to look to. Got a goal in the FA Cup to get Leicester an FA Cup, so that is huge in itself. But for me, I'm going to give this one an amber. He's since moved to Aston Villa, where I can just tell that Unai Emery just doesn't know really where to use him, as if you see right now, these are the amount of games and the amount of positions he has tried him out in. So you can just tell Unai Emery right now doesn't really know what his best position is in his system. At least we know obviously he's a great DM and 8, but clearly he's quite happy with the people he has in that position right now, and I don't really blame him, because for me, I wouldn't pick him over some people in that midfield that Aston Villa currently have as well. So his minutes has significantly gone down from last season, although that being said, I still do think he's technically had a better performance this season than last season. Last but certainly ladies and gentlemen, not least, have you guessed who it is? I don't know. It is Paul Levesque Pogba. Yes. Paul Pogba, the man with 100 haircuts and only 10 goals to his name. That's very mean. Let's be nice to Pogba. He had a potential rating of 89, the highest of anybody in this list. And you can understand why. Paul Pogba at Juventus, we all remember it, man. It was just beautiful, truly beautiful. What he had with Pirlo in that midfield, what he had with Antonio Conte in that team was just, oh, it warms my heart. It does. It warms my soiled heart. It was so beautiful. Went for a record price tag to Manchester United, and then this is where it gets tricky. This is where it gets really tricky. How do most people judge his Manchester United career? Do some people see it as an absolute out and out flop? Do some people see it as a success? Or for me, what is the right answer? It's just it's a 6 out of 10. Because when you take into account price tag, when you take into account expectations, it wasn't as good as you wanted it to be. You saw that, we've all seen that Pogba at Juventus. If you just got half of that, and sometimes you did, and that's, I think, the most annoying bit for Manchester United fans, is that they got teased. They got teased with it, but they never got the full load. They wanted the full load, but they never gave them the full load. They who had all of the load, all of it, every time they had the full load, and that is for the France national team. As for Paul Pogba, if we're talking about helping France as a team, as we're talking about helping France in big tournaments and all that, he's got to be in their top 10 best ever players. I mean, based off natural ability alone, he can be in there. But just based on what he's done for that national team in the Euros 2016, absolutely amazing. In the World Cup of 2018, he was stunning, absolutely stunning. Obviously, we know Pogba is a controversial figure with, his off-field antics, his dancing, his hair. Graham Souness just does not like him, and I mean does not like him. But luckily, Graham Souness isn't here, so I'm actually going to give him a green. I know some people will look at that and say, whoa there, buddy. What a buddy pal. What you doing? I just think his France career has been that good that it can make up for the lack of club career, because his club career is undoubtedly pretty poor since leaving Juventus. Obviously, he went back to Juventus, and then, God, there was a load of stuff happened there, and I don't really want to get into that. That's a bit of a dark theme side of a video, which I feel like we've had a light-hearted, fun video, guys, but we're not going to get into that, unfortunately. But I'm still going to give it a green. I just think that France career was that amazing. But, again, by all means, anyone that you disagree, let me know down in the comments. Don't be too mean about it. It's only FIFA at the end of the day. Come on. You have to be mad. It's only a game. Realised while editing that I haven't actually mentioned where half of these players actually are as of 2024. But that being said, I feel like I've mentioned only big players in this list right now, so you pretty much know where all of them are. So instead, I thought I'd just talk about 9 years later, have they reached that potential, or have they fallen short of that? So please don't get me on to me that much in the comments about that. That is all for the video, guys. I really do hope you like and subscribe. These do take a long time to film. You have to find them out, and then I have to find a video and image for every pretty much second for this. And it takes a lot longer than you think. So all it takes is a like, subscribe, comment something down below. You guys having a lovely day, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit.